So we finished the easy refactors, which were the step 1, milliseconds, FPS, etc. So now we need to relabel the other 3. And again, the other 3 are game, pixel, and tile units. And I'm going to start with our utility classes, which are going to be the sprite and the rectangle, because these are kind of the base classes that are going to be using the units, and it'll be easier if we work outwards, start at the bottom and work outwards, or start at the inside and work outwards. So these are like our utility classes, and then we'll move on to the backdrop, or not the backdrop, but the player class and the, what else do we have? Player and game. Actually, I'll probably do game before I do player, because I'm going to get rid of that game k tile size, and that'll help pick out errors in the player class. So let's see, anything else I'm missing? I don't think there are any more units in graphics, because we use SDL, rect for graphics, which we could change and it might be better, but I'm not going to change it in this episode just because this is already confusing enough. So let's start with the utility classes with sprite and rectangle. So I'll go to rectangle because that's easier. Instead of ints, right now I'm using this to represent pixels, but I think I'm going to switch over, because it'll do collisions more consistently between resolutions, to using game units. So instead of pixel units, we'll use game units for our rectangles. So we'll need to fix some stuff in the player class to match this, but that's what we want. So everything in here is actually going to be game units, because our rectangle is in game units. So let's include, of course, units. And we're done with rectangle. Sweet. So now we can move over to sprite.h and sprite.cc, and then animated sprite.h and animated sprite.cc. Those are the next 4 we're going to do, and I'm doing them all 4 at once because they're all totally related. So for sprite, it takes in a source X and a source Y, but these are going to be pixel values because they directly translate to our bitmap files. So these aren't going to be like the rectangle. It's going to be in pixel units. It's going to be different from the rectangle. So copy and paste. Same for width and height. And we'll include, we're already including units, so that's pretty cool. But in our draw method, I'm going to take in game units and do our conversion inside of this draw method. And the reason for that is most things are going to be, most of the things using the sprite class are going to be in terms of game units. So we could do our conversions inside of the draw method, which would be one place, one method call, or one function call to convert the units, or we could do it everywhere we use this draw method. So I'm choosing the easier route. So sprite.cc, we need to change these unit pixels in the constructor definition. We just put it in the source X, or the source rect, so we don't need to change any or convert anything there. But for the game units, which are here in this draw method, we do need to do a conversion. So, because this destination rectangle.x is expecting an int. So we're going to do units, and it'll be game to pixel, and converting this x unit, and units, game to pixel, converting this y unit. Okay, so that takes care of all the ints and floats in this file. Okay, now for the animated sprite, and it's going to be the same thing because the constructors need to match. So units pixel for the source X and source Y and width and height, because again, it's defining part of our bitmap file, which isn't measured in pixels. So let's fix that in the constructor too. And we don't overload our draw. Okay, so now we have ints left over in our num frames in our current frame. So this is indicating to me that I actually missed a type. This frames, like we could do tiles, but what happens if we have like a 4x4 or like a bigger than a single tile, like Balrog is a bigger character, and his animation tiles are going to be incremented by more than game K tile size. So this is actually a bug, but yeah. So the point is we need to have a frame units in order to be consistent. So this is a good opportunity to add that in. So I'm just going to add it in right below tile. It's not quite it's kind of a spatial unit, so I'll just do that. So frame, discrete, non-negative. And so we're going to use this for all our num frames. So units, frame, and let's see, in animated sprite.h, we need units, frame. And again, down here where we have num frames, or where we store num frames in the current frame, those are going to be in frame units. So now we got rid of all of our integers. There's another bug right here, and I'll fix it now, and this is important, so you guys should watch right now. Pay attention if you're not paying attention, because this plus equals game K tiles, game K tile size, only works if our character is a single tile wide. So we should actually be using our source rect dot width to increment by. All right, so this is going to be the same. It's going to show up the same for our single character or single tile quote, but when we have characters that are bigger than a single tile, this is going to be important. So just make sure that you fix this, because that's a bug. So anyway, we're done with our animated sprite now. So what was next after animated sprite? We got to get backdrop, because that uses that has a draw method. So it looks like backdrop.h doesn't store anything. Let's look at backdrop.cc. And yeah, here we go. We have a draw method, and we have our let's start at the top, actually, because it'll be easier. So we have our K background size, and this is in pixels right now, but I'd rather have this be in tile size. And you'll see this will clean things up a little bit better. So instead of game K tile size, it's just going to be 4. So that's the number of tiles wide it is. And we, of course, need to fix this down here. So So what is game.h? What is our screen width and screen height? Those are ints. And in order to be agnostic about the size, I'm going to change these to units of tiles. So I'm kind of breaking my ordering and jumping into the game class and changing these screen width and screen height into tile units. So we'll just say these are units of tile. Again, units of tile. And I'll get rid of this. I'll log off this game K tile size. Yeah, I like this a little bit better. We'll see where I'm going with this. Of course, we need to open our graphics class. You might not think to do this, but if you compile and run, you would think to do it, because we are using our game K screen width. And instead of using that explicitly, we want to convert it to pixel size. So this will be tile to pixel. There we go, tile to pixel. Okay, so that's all we need to do for our graphics class, for real, I promise. So back to game CC. No, not, okay, now I'm gonna go back to backdrop.cc. Okay, so now our screen width is in tiles just like our X. And it'll be plus equal k background size. That sounds right, because we want to increment by 4. And then here we want to switch to, since we're actually using a blit surface, we need to switch to pixel units. So these will be tile to pixel. Okay, so now we're done with our backdrop. Is there anything else I want to do with these? So I think now it's time for the game.h and game.cc. Sweet, we're getting close. We're getting really close. Okay, so one thing I'm going to get rid of is this template function because we don't need it anymore. Sorry about that. You were probably all excited to use templates, but now we don't want it anymore, so oh well. So like I said, I'm going to get rid of our k tile size in our game class. So this will create some errors, which will be nice. So it'll help us track down what we need to look at, especially in the player class. It's going to make things really obvious. So when we create a new player, our player wants game units. So units tile to game. And we'll pass it in these. I'm looking for ints or floats or anything like that. Most of this is taken care of. Okay, so we're actually done with the game class. But now we need to look at the player class, and we'll see our game k tile size being a problem. Okay, player needs to take in units game now. Yeah. Okay, so right away we're seeing some bugs or some red highlighting. So let's change our constructor first while we're here and thinking about it. Units game. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I left these converted on accident. These should be in game units per millisecond. So we need to just get rid of these conversions. So let's see if I can find and replace. Edit. Find and replace. Quick replace game units to pixels with nothing. And then replace with okay, there we go. That's all taken care of. Oh, and we got to do the same thing down here. Control H. Game. We can copy and paste this. And get rid of the parenthesis too. Replace it with nothing. Highlight everything and then replace it with nothing. And we'll get rid of this last parenthesis, last parenthesis. Sorry, I'm trying to make this go by fast, but place. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Now let's kind of put things. Yeah, just pretty things. Okay. So collision info is returning a integer row call. So I want to change these to tile because these are obviously in tile units. We're looping over tile, so we can loop using tile size. This is kind of, no, we're not doing that because this is a size t. This is representing array indexes, so I don't want to use tile size there. All right, operator lesson, I'm sure is fine. Game units. Okay, we're gonna jump down to the red down here, see what's up. So if we look at our source Y and our source X, they're in pixel units right now, but we keep doing all of these conversions and it's kind of wasteful to, it's hard on our eyes, I guess. So I'm gonna change these to tile units and not do all these conversions, save those conversions till the end. So instead of calling this source Y, I'm gonna call it tile Y. So let me just do a find and replace just to make things easier on myself. So Control H. We'll change source Y to source X. No, just kidding, tile Y. Yes, replace all those. And then same thing for source X. Change those to tile X. Okay, and then, yeah. So I'll change these to units of tile. Units of tile. And get rid of our multiplying by game k tile size. And this will fix the red areas as we go, and also just be easier on our eyes because there's less to look at, less to think about. Okay, so here we're actually using game k tile size by itself, so we can't just get rid of it. But what we can do is we can, this is essentially one tile unit, so we can change this to 1. Of course, we need to convert all these, and we can change this to 1. But let's convert these. So this will be units, tile to pixel. And these ones will be wrapped in a units tile to pixel as well. I could almost make sprite taken a tile unit instead of a pixel, but I'm not really sure I want to lock that down yet, so I'm not going to do that. And tile X will get okay. I don't think there's anything else. Like, I don't see any game K tile sizes. So I think this is done. Ooh, this doesn't need to be in parentheses, but that doesn't really matter. Jump down here where I see more game K tile size. Oh yeah, update X. So let's start at the top of update X so that we can make sure that we hit everything. Okay, yeah, delta is the first place I see where we need to switch from unit or from int to units of game. And right now it's in pixel units, and it's kind of ugly, but yeah, we can get rid of that quickly. And we want to. This is where we introduce our keeping precision deal, and this is the X part of it, but we'll get to the Y soon too. So if delta is greater than 0.0f, just to be consistent. And here we have another game K tile size, but really what we want to do is we just want to convert this to tile, from tile to game, this info.call, because that's what type that is now. And get rid of that game K tile size. So you see how it's kind of nice to have the compiler give us errors when we're missing something. We're going to do the units tile to game. Again, units tile to game. Let me copy and paste because it's the same info.call. And I can just paste over this and paste over this. Okay, got rid of those, and that all looks good now. See, we don't have any more pixel conversions in here, which is nice. And this is going to be info.row instead of info.call. So yeah, we'll change that and then copy and paste again. Of course, we need to change our delta too. Whew. That'd be silly if I didn't change it. So this should be of units game. No more rounding. Okay, and get rid of this last game K tile size. Well, second to last, it looks like. Second to last game K tile size. So that's it. I'm going to control F for int. And yeah, we've got some frames up here, so I'll just convert these to units of frame. Jump frame, call frame, yeah, these are all frames. Num frames is a frame type. I'll see if there are any more ints. Interacting, interacting, interacting. These ints I'm fine with. Int delta. Okay, yeah, we need to fix our deltas to take game units instead of integers. Right, because our rectangles are in game units now too. No rounding needs to happen. We can assert. These asserts are fine. They'll compile, I think. Let me see if there are any more ints. That's it for ints. Let's see if there are any floats. That's it for floats. So I think we're finished with the player class, which might mean we're actually finished with this huge refactoring. Except int x and y need to be, yeah, so let's do our int. Yeah, acceleration x, I'm actually going to leave that as it is. Sue me. Yeah, so that should be it for real. So I'm going to compile and cross my fingers that this works. Cannot, well, if I could spell units correctly, it would probably work. Rectangle.h is the only place it looks like I misspelled it. Sprite. Oh, the map class. I almost forgot about the map class. We're not done yet. Just kidding, guys. Okay. So let's see if there are any types. Collision tile should return a units of tile. And units of tile. What about map.cc? So map.cc is still referencing this game k tile size. We can do the units to tile to game 1. Because that's what we're saying with those. It might be nice to have a constant. So this is going to be 11. This is going to be 2. This is going to be 1, and this is going to be 1. 1. 1. 12. 2. Yeah, this might not be like the most fun thing in the world to do or to watch, but that's why they call it work. So, oh, here is where we're actually going to finally use our game, or our tile to game. Or no, game to tile. Sorry, I misspoke. I do that a lot, so you'll have to get used to it. Rectangle, rectangle, or you might have already gotten used to it. Who knows? So game to tile. So that means that these are in tile. And we're iterating over tiles. Sweet. These are in tiles. This is a tile. This is a tile. Updating. We're looping over size t. That's fine. We're looping over size t. That's fine. Okay, here we need to convert back to units, tile to game, call. And the same thing, but with row. For a y. And same thing down here. Boop, boop, boop. So let's try compiling again, see how this works. I'm getting some warnings, which is a little bit unnerving, so I'm going to read those. Conversion from units to game to units to pixel, possible loss of data. See, this is just the kind of information we want. So yeah, this should have been tile to pixel. So this is actually really cool that it can warn me like that. It's nice to have the compiler on your side and not working against you. I need to do it. I did it all the way through here. So let me just do a quick refactor. Game becomes pixel. So let's see how that works. Okay, No more warnings, no more errors. Let's see how it looks. Check it out. Check it out. No more of the bad stuff. We are good. Finally, it was a brutal refactor, but sometimes you just have to follow your gut and do it. And sometimes your gut is totally wrong. And there's no real way of knowing, so you just kind of do it anyway. Yeah, thanks for doing this with me, guys. Thanks for sticking it through. If you have any ideas for other refactors, I might consider them. I'm not huge on doing a bunch of different refactors just because sometimes it can lead down a rabbit trail, and you got to really be careful about which refactors you choose to do. This one was big for me because I was getting, like, in my head, getting confused between all the different unit types, and, like, you could see that some of the bugs just came out, and, like, it's like when you're cleaning out your house and organizing things, like, you're like, oh shoot, I never knew I had this. Like, it's that kind of thing. Like, what was I thinking when I did that? Like, for example, when I was adding game K tile size, that became obvious, like, oh, these are frame units, not tile units. So anyway, that just, like, really helps me clarify some of the code, and it'd be better to start with units from the very beginning, to be honest. I think there's really no harm to it, because you can just do a type def, and that has almost zero compilation costs and zero runtime costs. So yeah, that's just, yeah, that's all I have to say, surprisingly. Thanks for watching. Happy developing. Peace out, guys.